discovery. We offer nursery care that starts before the service and religious education programs that start after our Story for All Ages for children up through the end of high school. This morning, we honor Martin Luther King Jr. Day with a variety of brief reflections from our multicultural transformation team, along with special music from Severin Benin, Don Coyote, and Linda Alvarez. We're so happy to have all of these folks with us. We hope your time worshiping with us today will be moving, contemplative, energizing, and thought-provoking. I want to light a candle this morning in memory of Marion Monet. Marion was found dead in her home on December 29th, right before the new year. Folks here at PUC might remember Marion as a friendly greeter or usher. She served here at PUC as a greeter a lot before the pandemic, and so you might have seen her smiling face during that time. We here at PUC will miss Marion greatly. There will be an informal gathering to honor Marion on Wednesday, January 25th at 2 p.m. here in the hall. So if you'd like to share some memories of Marion and perhaps be in community in your grief, you're invited to join us. We also have perhaps one of our more predictable rituals this morning, which is a few announcements before we get started. Our rescheduled fall financial review meeting will be here in the sanctuary after lunch today, so you're invited to join our treasurer, Frank Adams, and our board president, Robin Earhart, to hear more about the state of the PUC budget. This Monday, so tomorrow, at 10:30 on the patio, our book group will continue with a discussion of reading Lolita in Tehran. I might suggest first attending the book group and then staying until 1 o'clock to help us pack lunches for Community's Child. That's our weekly social justice outreach activity, and we'll be packing lunches tomorrow in honor of the holiday. The Senior Covenant Group, which is open to anyone who identifies as a senior, will meet Tuesday at 2 p.m. here in the hall. Seekers, a group open to anyone interested in spirituality and psychology, meets this Wednesday at 10 a.m. in the library. Finally, Camp de Venable Pines Bear Hug fundraising matching campaign, which we've been participating in, has raised $85,000 of their $100,000 goal, which is awesome. And so they just need to raise that last $15,000, and because of that, the matching campaign has been extended through January 31st. PUC has generously donated the Christmas Eve plate to camp, and members have also donated as well, and we've raised $1,600 for them. That was mostly the Christmas Eve one, which is awesome. And that's equal to $3,200 in the grand scheme of things. So if you'd like to continue to help reach that $100,000 mark to get camp through the winter, basically, please see Andy and Janet Kistner on the patio, or you can go to the camp's website, and they have their display set up if you'd like to go see it. So as always, keep an eye on your email for our Wednesday e-blast, which contains all the events that are happening here at PUC. Andrea, would you light our chalice?
Good morning. Good morning. We light our flaming chalice as a beloved people united in love and thirsting for restorative justice. May it melt away the tethers that uphold whiteness in our midst. May it spark in us a spirit of humility. May it ignite in us radical love that transforms our energy into purposeful action. This is a chalice of audacious hope. This chalice shines a light on our shared past, signaling our intention to listen deeply, reflect wisely, and move boldly toward our highest ideals.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Jewel. I'm the Multicultural Outreach and Education Director here at Pacific Unitarian Church. I want to wish everyone a happy King Day, and not just a happy day, but a thought-provoking day that I hope will invite you to lean deeper into the calls to action that made him a global figure. If you've known me for more than 5 minutes, you probably already heard me talk about how King's massive and brilliant body of work is often too reduced down to a handful of nicely packaged platitudes. So Americans from Generation X and up do not have living memory of the civil rights movement. Most of us didn't experience only signs. We met Dr. King in elementary school, and now 54 years after his death, can only tell you a few general ideas that King was a great man from the past who had a dream that white and black people should get along. What people of color growing up in a post-civil rights era know is that although the whites-only signs of King's era were taken down by law, the prejudices that hung them are still very present. The signs just became harder to see. The signs are still up in the very way King's work has been digestible, and in the way that King Day, and even King himself, has become a figure that we can all be comfortable with. Comfortable enough to not cause too much disruption to people getting an extra paid day off in January. And the signs are still up in the way we remain silent around the bigots in our lives by keeping talks about race passively polite. Polite enough to not get us into too many exhausting arguments. So avoiding conflict is reasonable. That complacency, that avoidance, that whitewashing of King, that nicifying and going along quietly to get along. All of that keeps us unchallenged and too comfortable with the racism that all of us UUs can agree exists for others, but that we don't really have to pay attention to when it doesn't affect us personally. All of that avoidance is clear evidence of the white supremacist culture that we're all part of. It ensures the visible whites-only signs will continue to show up in the form of millions of daily microaggressions and in the practices of exerting power over people of color as opposed to power with. Those practices that have become normalized in every institution in this country, including this one. So if we're privileged enough to be able to be people who can comfortably not have to confront the issue of race, King Day is the right time to critically ask ourselves if we're here today to comfortably nod and agree with some nice enough words about an elementary school version of King, whose great achievements people seem to think were one speech and be able to sit anywhere on the bus, or if we desire to lift up the real work of dismantling the inequality that the disruptor Dr. King, the most dangerous man in America, Dr. King, if you're here to hear about what he called us to do. The civil rights era was not an end, it was an open door to a beginning. So our service today is about asking, what are we being called to do in this moment, in this era? Agreeing that racism can be terrible sometimes is not enough. The ask for allyship is changing, and this service is about examining our shared commitment as we live into a new chapter of the story of our UU faith. So today, Minister Chloe and members of PUC's Multicultural Transformation Team will walk us through some of the key elements of the proposed 8th principle, which is a calling on our faith to make a commitment to expand our faith to dismantle racism and all forms of oppression within ourselves, the Unitarian Universalist Association, and all of its member congregations. As we sing our first hymn, Lift Every Voice and Sing, let us hold in our hearts that the words were written as a cry for liberation and affirmation of Black freedom. Thank you. Thank you. That was beautiful. I'd like to call all of our school-age children down. So today, we're going to face this way a little bit. My friend Dawn, welcome Dawn Coyote. So Dawn's a really special artist to me, and we worked out something that's just a little fun activity. Oh, hi Leah, hi Crockett. Hi, good to see you guys. Okay, go ahead and pick an instrument. We're going to play a game called Instant Band. Pass the basket around. Just grab one. It's a children's moment, not children's half hour. Let's go. Grab one quick. Okay. So today's about being called to a moment. That's what we titled this. So I didn't want the children to go and miss all the good music, so they're going to play a little bit, and Dawn's going to give them a beat, right? Okay. So welcome, Dawn Coyote.
Hey, guys. How are you? You good? How are you feeling? All right, this song's called Freedom Town, so just listen to what piano's doing.
Okay. There we go.
Yeah.
Try to get in sync.
And I've been lost, and I've been down. I found love and watched it drown in Freedom Town. Oh, in Freedom Town.
You can clap with them.
Empty factories, crowded beds. I could sit and watch it burn itself in Freedom Town. Oh, in Freedom Town. See, I could sit and watch it burn itself, but I could walk away from this hell in Freedom Town. Every day, yeah, in Freedom Town. And how high up do you want to go? How long does your river flow? How strong do your roots grow? Gotta make it over yonder. You guys got the rhythm? We got it? Let me see one of these. This one? There's flags on Main Street from last week's parade. There's roadblocks and rays taking our friends away, all from Freedom Town. Oh, Freedom Town. They're building walls 1,000 miles wide with fear and hate for the other side. Oh, Freedom Town. They say keep out of Freedom Town. To all the people that'll never know I love you like my own in Freedom Town. So long, Freedom Town. How high up do you want to go? How long does the river flow? How strong do your roots grow? Gotta make it over yonder. How high up do you want to go? How strong do your river flow? How strong will your roots grow? I gotta make it over yonder. How high up do you want to go? How make it over yonder. There we go. Thank you guys so much.
Okay. Yay, okay. Drop the toys in the basket. Okay, let's sing out our kids. You guys have fun with Amy and Lucy today. Thanks, guys.
Go now in peace. May the spirit of love surround
Thank
you
you.
everywhere, everywhere.
Oh, that was fun. You know, when I thought through this, I did not realize that he had to sing a big song and then sing another big giant song. So please forgive me for not thinking that through. Okay, so Dawn, when I thought about music for this service, I really thought about what I wanted to express in this moment, and you know, Dawn was just the right person to invite here to lift this energy up. So please do our centering song. I want to dedicate this to, as everything I want to express to my own black children, all black children in the world, and especially people who don't get to live to their full potential in life.
And thank you for inviting me to do this too. To be young, gifted, and black. Oh, what a lovely, precious dream. Too young, gifted, and black. Open your heart to what I mean. 'Cause you know, in this whole wide world, oh, there's a million boys and girls who are young, gifted, and black. Oh, and that's a fact. Oh, to be young, gifted, and black. We must begin to tell how young. Don't you know there's a whole wide world, a whole world just waiting, waiting, waiting. that the joy of today, oh, is the day that we're all proud to say that we are gifted and bright. Oh, sure enough, that's a fact. That's a fact. Ooh, no, no, no. Don't you believe it now? Yeah. Oh, no, 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 no. Gifted and right, yeah, yeah. Ooh, we're gifted. Say we're gifted and blind. I said, I ain't trying to bring nobody down today, no, no. Oh, no, 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 no. Oh, no, no. Oh, oh, is where it's at. Oh, no, no, to no, oh, no, yeah. Is where it's at, yo, no, no. Is where it's at. Thank you guys so much.
Wow. Wow, thank you. Kelly, can I get Mike here? Give it a second. So I'll just use this one for now. Thank you so much, Don and Severin. And our backup crew here too. I didn't expect that. They just got up and it was beautiful. This morning, as we always do, we're going to take some time in our service to share what is on our hearts, our joys and sorrows, our big milestones and heartbreaking setbacks, our griefs and reliefs. By sharing with one another, we are allowing our community to bear witness to our struggles. Witness that tells us that we are not alone. Our struggle is shared. Our joy is shared. May we enter into this time of sharing those things that are on our hearts and bearing witness to the important moments in this congregation. Leanne will have the candles here for you and hand you the mic.
Good morning, everyone. Hello? Good morning, everyone. I just want to be I'm grateful today to Kiki because she's put together from our social justice group this beautiful website and t-shirts for all of us to use when we rally. And fight for justice. So thank you, Kiki. I didn't expect her to be behind me.
Hi, I'm Kiki. I'm just grateful. 2 weeks ago on Sunday, I was walking down the hallway and Rachel grabbed me and said, "We're starting a social justice meeting and you should come." And it's been just such a fun 2 weeks. We marched, Evan and Rachel and I, in the MLK celebration parade in Long Beach yesterday in the downpour, and got drenched, and it was still wonderful and so uplifting. And hopefully we'll do more of those things with more people as we go out into the world and share our right now 7 principles, soon to be 8. I'll redo the t-shirt.
Unspoken joys and sorrows.
If you'll invite me into the spirit of prayer, perhaps by lowering your gaze or even closing your eyes. This is a prayer by the Reverend Joan Javier Duval. Holy mystery, silent presence, uncertain bearer of the weight of it all. In these quiet moments, we listen. We listen for the maybes still breathing, perhaps still whispering, faintest sign of the universal good. We listen between the cacophony of distractions, pulling us towards untruth and falsehood. We listen amid the shrill cries of desperation, of "We've had enough," of "When will they stop killing my people?" Of "How much more will the waters rise?" Of "When will it be safe to return to my home?" Of "How much longer can I hang on?" We listen and wait through the tumult of these days. We seek assurance. We seek the fulfillment of a promise made to ourselves, a promise made to those who have been stretched. We have been stretched to call neighbor, a promise written and enshrined and yet unfulfilled. Help us, abiding mystery, to hang on, to hold on when it is all in question, when it is all in doubt. Help us to stay firm in our own commitments and our own promises. Lead us back into connection, back into the bonds of humanity, and help us to know each other as beloved. May we continue listening. May we keep watch. May we beckon love and justice and mercy with our own whispers, with our shouts, with our cries, until all know themselves part of the circle of love. Until all know themselves part of the circle of love. May it be so. Amen. We'll take a brief moment of silence.
Thank you, Severin and Dawn. That was beautiful. Okay. So we have 7 great principles that most of us know well and agree with. We like 7. It's a prime number. And it's those core 7 values that unite us among our many differences. But are they sufficient? We are here to examine if our existing principles adequately and specifically call us to go into more meaningful anti-racism and anti-oppression work as a core tenet of our faith. As the lifelong UU and pioneering leader of this movement to adopt an eighth principle put it, Paula Cole Jones once said that you can be UU your whole life and not be challenged on the issue of race. So with that said, let's get into this. Minister Chloe is going to start us off by helping us get our heads around UUA polity.
So, as we embark on these conversations about our faith's commitment to racial justice, as we've heard Jewel introduce, and how they may materialize over the next couple of years, I thought it would be fitting to give us a brief reminder of our congregational polity. Congregational polity is defined as the right and responsibility of each properly organized congregation to make its own decisions about its affairs without recourse from any higher human authority. In plain language, Unitarian Universalist congregations are independent bodies that make their own decisions about everything from who to hire, to how to manage their properties, to what they theologically believe. As we talk about new commitments and possible changes to our principles, we are doing so as independent congregations and individuals within those congregations. The Unitarian Universalist Association is an association of those independent congregations. Each church pays membership dues and benefits from services provided by the association, from consultation about conflicts to the management of a shared retirement plan. It is fitting then that we have a voice in the ideas and commitments being proposed in our larger faith. While the association has power like any large body, we, as a commitment to our democratic process, have the right to a voice in the decisions and processes of our faith. Each year, members of the Unitarian Universalist Association, the churches and the congregations that make up the association, send delegates to General Assembly to vote on the issues of our faith. Some of these votes aren't controversial, like unopposed seats on various committees, to even a statement recently that that supported the right to an abortion. It passed by something like 95%. Other votes, though, will likely prove to be more contentious. The issues you'll hear about from Leanne and Andrea, and Carrie are some of those. Proposals that suggest adding to our principles or changing them to better meet the modern moment will be given time at General Assembly in June of this year and likely again in 2024. The final decision will be voted on by the General Assembly, including delegates from this congregation. Our fifth principle is an embrace of democracy, the right of consciousness and the use of the democratic process within our congregations and in society at large. This is an opportunity, beloveds, to democratically engage with the issues of our faith. For some, our discussion today may be old news. Talk of a principle specifically about racial justice has been around since 2013. For others, news that the principles are being considered for revision or even completely changed may be shocking. Our principles are sometimes the basis of how we explain and engage with our faith. The principles, they were last revised in 1987, a living document of our faith, last revised before I was even born. So these are tender issues, as you can see. I invite you to listen with an open heart to these tender issues, to see this as the start of a process of engaging with these issues. As we do this work, we might consider questions like, how do we voice our commitment to racial justice as a faith? How do we make that a big commitment? Are the principles a living document? How do we democratically engage with questions that engage the very heart of our faith, making sure our voices as individuals and as a congregation are heard? Let us do this work of continued commitment to our shared journey to justice through these questions and through engagement with these important issues. Thank you. And Leanne.
I would like to share with you a little bit about the history of this eighth principle. In 1997, the General Assembly of the UUA voted to commit to intentionally becoming an anti-racist, anti-oppressive, multicultural institution. Yet, almost 25 years later, we continue to struggle with this issue. When the Eighth Principle Project began in 2013, it addressed something vital that had been missing from the movement, and that is naming that anti-racism and anti-oppression must be central to congressional life and community building. The project of fostering conversation within congregations and other communities, and then calling on those communities to make an explicit statement in the form of adopting the eighth principle, has become a groundswell within Unitarian Universalism. Here is the text of the eighth principle. We, the member congregations of Unitarian Universalist Association, covenant to affirm and promote journeying towards spiritual wholeness by working to build a diverse and multicultural, beloved community by our actions and accountable dismantling of racism and other oppressions in ourselves and our institutions. Now, in 2013, the First Unitarian Church of Philadelphia became the first congregation to approve this eighth principle. Since then, more than 223 congregations and affiliate groups have done the same. So what about us? Here, in March of 2020, when George Floyd was killed, some of us at PUC decided to get more involved in the anti-racist movement. We developed the Multicultural Transformation Team, which is now called the MTT. We have studied anti-racism and presented educational opportunities to the church. We applied for and received a grant, which allowed us to develop a position to further our work in multicultural awareness and outreach. Today, Jewel Famalinge leads that effort. We held back on asking PUC to vote for this eighth principle because work was being done to incorporate that on a national level. So as of today, this effort by the UUA is still a work in progress.
Oh, what a good group of people. I like looking out at these people. I'm going to talk about Article 2. What the heck is an Article 2? The UUA is defined by its bylaws. As we have our bylaws here, they have their bylaws. The bylaws are divided into sections called articles. There's several of them. For example, the first article states the name of the organization. The third article covers membership. And the fourth, the running of the General Assembly. And there's a bunch of articles. Article 2 is what I'm going to talk about. That covers principles and purposes. Article 2 of the Unitarian Universalist Association bylaws, principles and purposes, is the foundation for all the work of our UUA and its member congregations. It is the covenant to which all UUA communities pledge themselves when they become members of the Unitarian Universalist Association. The process of examining and possibly revising Article 2 of the UUA bylaws is a scheduled effort of the UUA board, and it's actually defined in the bylaws themselves that they have to review this article. A little history. The first version of the principles was adopted in 1960. No, it wasn't before I was born. The current form of the principles was adopted in 1984. Our current principles and purposes were last revised in 1987, as Chloe said. The fifth principle was the subject of a report in 2009, which dealt with the use of the democratic process at UUA gatherings. At the GA in 2017, there was a discussion of amending the principles to add the eighth principle, as Leanne said, addressing racism, and an amended first principle addressing non-human life. So, being good Unitarians, what do? We started a study commission. A study commission has been charged with making a proposal to the UUA board in January, this month of 2023. This was begun by the ongoing conversations about what it means to be accountable to each other and how we must actively take on the work of anti-racism and anti-oppression as a fundamental part of the Unitarian Universalist faith. And so the task they have been charged with is larger than specifics of the eighth principle. The study commission understands these ideals to be at the very heart of our work and very much part of the direction we are journeying. We may not have principles at all. What is currently in the works is section C 2.2 of Article 2 is replacing the principles with a statement of values and covenant. Have you got that slide up there? Yeah, it looks like that. And I quote, "Love is the enduring force that holds us together. As Unitarian Universalists in religious community, we covenant, congregation to congregation, and through our association, to support and assist each other in engaging our ministries. We draw from our heritage of freedom and reason, hope and courage, building on the foundation of love. Love inspires and powers the passion with which we embody our values. Inseparable from one another, these shared values are, as shown up there, pluralism, independence, equity, generosity, justice, evolution, all surrounding the central one of love." The final version of Article 2, as amended by the Board of Trustees and or the 2023 GA, must receive a simple majority vote to move forward for a final vote at next year's GA in 2024. It will take a 3/4 majority vote at the 2024 GA to be adopted as the new Article 2. If either vote fails, a similar proposal cannot be considered for 2 years. Andrea.
There is some opposition to the proposed eighth principle, and here is some of it. The word spiritual may make some congregants uncomfortable because they do not identify as such. I feel that we're all here together in spirit. No one would wish harm on anyone, yet racism causes harm. Some feel that the words beloved community covers race, and it is spelled out at the UUA. That says beloved community happens when people of diverse racial, ethnic, educational, class, gender, abilities, sexual orientation, backgrounds, / identities come together in an interdependent relationship of love, mutual respect, and care that seeks to realize justice within the community and in the broader world. But will everyone look up that definition? I never had. The 7 principles do not currently mention racism at all, though nearly all seem to imply resistance to racism by affirming justice, equity, and inherent worth. In our effort to make progress in the direction of inclusion, I feel that explicit wording will serve better than implicit. Some feel the words "by our actions" is redundant because how else would we dismantle racism? But we UUs are a cerebral bunch. It's important to have not just ideas or values, but also action. Again, being explicit. The UUA website says, in part, white UUs hold themselves accountable to communities of color to make sure whites do what they say they will do. In practice, that can mean having a people of color caucus within congregations, districts, etc., to discern and express needs and concerns to the rest of the community. There is some opposition to the idea of a caucus based on skin color alone, as there can be classism and other isms within communities of color. Some say we shouldn't pass the 8th principle until the wording is perfect, but it can be changed if need be. The wording of the fourth principle has been changed at least 3 times since it was first adopted by Unitarians in 1944. A congregation cannot easily vote on a change of wording until there is agreement on the principle being put forth. One critic calls racism an evil and asks if it's any more evil than war, greed, political corruption, gun violence, and others. He feels that racism and other oppressions are addressed in the current 7 principles and asks, if we need this 8th principle, don't we need another dozen to cover these other issues? I say, one thing at a time. Some say climate change is a more urgent issue, and our weather is certainly letting us know it's upon us. I would suggest that climate change and its solutions are global and long-term. The over-policing of communities of color and the resulting mass incarceration is both a much more concrete problem and a more concrete solution. To the critic who described racism as an evil, that word feels nebulous and beyond our control. Racism is a social construct, like sexism or homophobia. What we've constructed, I believe we can deconstruct. Unitarian Universalism is still evolving, having addressed issues pertaining to women's rights and those of the LGBTQ community with good results. The same can be accomplished regarding racism.
So I hope we are all on the same page now, that racism is still a problem around us. Whether we are talking about the explicit kind of racism, as a side note, I'm going to use a Black people example here, so I'll try to tread carefully. I think the most obvious example of explicit racism is, well, using the N-word. I think we all know what it is, and nothing more needs to be said on that. But I think we are more likely to encounter implicit kind of racism, whether it's bias or stereotype. Whether it's the mild version, like Black people will be late to a meeting, or whether it's the dangerous kind, that they are criminal and dangerous. And don't forget about systemic racism in our society. that helps explain why progress is so slow. Take, for example, the fact that school budget is correlated with property values. So rich neighborhoods that are more likely to have more white people have better education, while poor neighborhoods that are more likely to be less white don't. So the kids from the poor neighborhood actually have less access to education and less foundation for their future. So then the cycle continues. And also we can look around us. We are still living in quite a segregated society. California demographic, the largest group is Hispanic at around 40%, with whites follow at 35%. Or take our city here, Ranchos Palos Verdes, where the largest group is white at about 50%, followed by Asian at 30%. But if you look around us, our church demographic here doesn't match our surrounding. For what it's worth, personally, I am against adopting the 8th principle, although 8 is such a good number. I support the intent, but not the execution. But I think more importantly, regardless where I stand or where you stand on adopting this principle now or in the future, I think the more important thing is that we all here take the journey together to learn more, to take the time to think, to discuss with each other, and then do the work to actually address racism and create a more equitable society.
Oh, thank you guys. I'm so proud of the MTT. We've done a lot of work to educate ourselves and really understand that issue. And regardless, what I hope you take away today from all this, I know it was a lot to sit through and take in all at once. And Leanne made you a further reading printout if you want to dig more into it. That's in your order of service. But what I hope you take away mostly from this is, regardless of what happens with the adopting the 8th principle vote that's going to happen at the General Assembly this year, the work that it's catalyzed has already begun just because of the very idea of it. So thank you for your time on that. And we've been sitting for a long time, so you guys should stretch for just a second. And while you're stretching, reach for your wallets while I talk to you about blue. So as it says in your order of service, Black Lives UU is committed to expanding the power and capacity of Black UUs within Unitarian Universalism, and I want to make sure to connect the dots of exactly how each one of you are the beneficiaries and recipients of their work. Blue speaks truth to power within the UUA, and them speaking to that power created the funding for my job. When racial justice educator funding became available, PUC reached up to receive what was first born out of that raised fist action, and I forgot what I was going to say. So PUC met that. And so thank you to them for providing education to congregations. And thank you to every member of PUC who voted to match the grant that made it possible for my job. So thank you, Severin and Linda and Spirit of Life Choir. Take us to church. Go.
Please join me in recitating the affirmation of gratitude. Let us be grateful when we are able to give, for many do not have that privilege. Let us be grateful for all those who share their gifts, for we are enriched by their giving. And let us also be grateful even for our needs, so that we may experience the generosity of others.
Paul and Silas bound in jail. They had no money for the bail. Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on. Keep your eyes on the prize. Paul and Silas began to shout. They shout the chains, the jail was out. Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on. Keep your eyes on the prize.
Freedom's name is mighty sweet, and soon we're gonna meet. Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on. Your eyes on the prize. Hold on, hold on.
The only chain that a man can stand is the change in his hand. Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on, hold on, hold on. Keep your eyes on the prize.
Hold on.
I'm gonna bound the big greyhound, carry my love from town to town. Keep your eyes on the
Prize. Hold on, hold on,
hold on,
hold on, hold on.
keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on, hold on.
This church is dedicated to the proposition that behind all our differences, beneath all our diversity, there is a unity that makes us one and binds us forever together. In spite of time and death and the space between the stars, we pause in silent witness to that unity.
May the blessing of love be upon you. May love's peace abide with you. May love's presence illuminate your hearts now and forevermore. So be it.
Amen.
Shalom, salam, namaste, and blessed be. And now our service truly begins.
Now the only thing I did was wrong, was stay in the wilderness too long. Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on, hold on, Hold on.